Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. I'm starting to sound a little better at saying that. Almost feels as if this is a $1 million production. It's a $1 million production on a budget, but we treat it as such, so it's very professional. I got my girl Mo on the ones and twos. That's our cat, just in case you didn't know. This is episode 78. We're chugging along. And Mo, yes, Mo is happens to be a rescue cat that I got from work. I rescued. Now you would think that her ass would be grateful that I rescued her. We're talking 15 years that we've had her, and she still don't mess with me. Only time she messes with me is when I'm opening the door for her to go in our son's room, because she's always loved him and he loves her. But other than that, she don't want to fool with me. I don't really get a chance to pet her or anything, and I'd be looking at her like, I could put your ass out if I wanted. But no, yeah, I'm grateful that we were able to help her. She was severely injured, something with her back. So she looks like she's small, and it's because of something that happened with her back. And I think it was great that we were able to keep her, because we don't know if she would have been able to make it out in the wild, but who knows. But enough about American wildlife. Hope y'all are doing well. Let's get into the weekly events in sports or life. Games that interest me. Games and things, rather, that interest me. I want to start off by saying, I think, and this is just me, I think YouTube multi-view is the greatest thing ever invented for a sports fan, or for a person, that's into sports like myself. Others might disagree. Now, I used to have DirecTV, and when I had DirecTV, we had the multi-view where I could do picture-in-picture, and I thought that was like the best, right? So when DirecTV, and I hope they don't get mad at me, but when their prices started, going up and going up and going up, and was like, look, man, we got a mortgage to pay. We don't want to be choosing between the mortgage and DirecTV. So, we moved, and then everybody's moving to streaming and the internet and stuff. So, we was going to YouTube, and I was like, they got multi-view you can watch? And it was like, my wife's like, yeah, they got multi-view and you can watch. And I was like, all right, I was reluctant. If y'all don't know me, for those who know me, I have kind of like an old man soul when it comes to certain things. Like, I don't like change. I don't like to change stuff. And it's just the way I am. Like, I've learned to try new things, especially when I can see that it's going to be, more efficient and beneficial and stuff like that. But I just don't like to change. That's just the way I am. So I didn't want to do it, but, we put it on and we got it. And it was like, okay, look, I'm one that I like to change the channel, right, when I'm surfing. So if I'm surfing, I like to change, and it's like I like to push the number. Like, okay, this channel is at 284, right? And then I can go, I want to see something on channel 133. So now I can go back and forth between those channels, right? Well, if you're into YouTube, they YouTube TV, they don't have actual channels. But if you find two programs, you can go back and forth, right? Well, for me, watching sports, because we have my wife is a Saints fan. I know. Yeah, if you see her, give her a hug. It's rough this year. I can't even mess with her because, it's just a little too easy right now. So, she got the football, not the league pass, Sunday ticket. So with the multi-view, you can watch 4 games, right? You can watch 4 different games all at the same time. I love it. It kind of gives me the feel of being like in a bar and grill place where we're eating wings or something, watching all the different games. And now we got the league pass, and now I can watch all the different basketball games. Now, this, as I told y'all before, is my favorite time of year because you got the World Series, or MLB playoffs. You got football going on, and you got basketball starting, right? So, lo and behold, this portion is sponsored by 915 Carpet Cleaning. They take care of all of your needs, whether it's residential or commercial, whether it's flooring or carpet. 915 Carpet Cleaning, they get the job done. Look up 915 Carpet Cleaning. The carpet cleaner you know before you need one. I'm watching Multiview last night. On one channel, it was a Multiview, but it was three. On the top channel, it's the Dodgers and Yankees. On the top right channel, it's the Steelers and Giants. On the bottom, it's the Celtics and Milwaukee. Right now, I wasn't able to watch because I was doing a Vertimax training. But during the break, I was showing the parent about what YouTube and Multiview and stuff. They were blown away, and I just gave them a look like, yes, it's something that I'm so proud of. I just love to watch. So I think YouTube Multiview, if y'all don't have it, y'all should try it. If y'all are into sports, because when the games are on, college football, and once basketball starts, you go down to Multiview and you will have a whole list of different games. Now, the only thing I would hope that they add, and I've been told that there's a way to do it, is you don't always get to pick the games. So, like, if there are 3 games that you want to see, sometimes you got to hope that they're all on one Multiview, and a lot of times they are. But I would love to be able to choose the games that I want and put them on there, right? But I mean, that's being like, hey, you're not gonna get everything that you want. So I'm hugely happy with what it is right now, and I'm just so glad that we made that switch. So shout out to them, because I think it's the greatest thing ever made for a sports person like myself. And the thing that I'm looking at doing is I might try to get a 100-inch TV, because then that 4 squares, they might be like 27 inches or something, like be 27-inch game or something. So I love watching them. It's hard to watch them on a smaller TV because you're like, wait a minute, is there a timeout, or are they actually moving because the screen is so small? But let me move on. And as I mentioned, I was watching the NBA game. Yes, the NBA season has started. It's started in all of its glory, and it's weird because I didn't watch any preseason games. I was really into football. I've always been into football, but this year I was a little bit more into it and stuff. And I was excited about the NBA season with what had transpired in the off season and and everything at the end of the season. I couldn't wait, but I didn't look at any preseason games, which was weird. But of course, once it started, getting my man Chuck and Kenny and Shaq and Ernie back, hey, that's great. My Tuesdays and Thursdays are now set. There is no going out or anything like that. I'm not doing that. So I'm enjoying it, and some teams look good early. Lakers look good. They look fresher. They look like they move more with a purpose this year. Some teams look bad. Milwaukee doesn't look like a team you would think they would look like with what they have. Now, there are tons of injuries, tons of teams with key guys that are hurt, and it's kind of dampering it a little because you want to see certain matchups, which is why I love it. And I've always said it's hard for me to watch now because, of what my profession is, what I do. I'm always analyzing. So I'm looking at games to find little things and quirks that I can, pull from and say, okay, you know what, I like this. I'm going to use this in a drill with certain kids that we train. So, it's always a wealth of library for me to watch. And then I'm always trying to see, what they're doing and how they're doing it and the chess match and stuff. So it's hard for me to enjoy it, but I do enjoy it. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just like some robot taking notes, but I do enjoy it. And I'm like, okay, so everybody's like, well, Phoenix, they're picked to go to the finals. And I'm like, I don't see it. I don't think they have enough defense and enough length to contend with some of these other teams with long players. They have hell of firepower and bringing in is it Tyus Jones, the point guard, who's with Memphis. He went to Washington for a while. That's gonna help him. But I've already seen when he's in there, like, okay, like no, he's gonna run the point, and he's gonna settle them in, and he's going to get the ball where it needs to be. And I've already seen in a couple of situations where it's like, yeah, he in the game, but now Durant has the ball up top, and he's like moving in and stuff, and he's getting to his spot and everything, and it's like, yeah, I guess he ain't doing. I mean, it could be part of what their system is, but what I envisioned is like, I got the ball, we running this set, right? Like, no, I know you want it, yeah, but we running this set, so you go on over there, you're gonna get the ball. But you're gonna get the ball, as we run this set, and I'm gonna make sure everything is where it needs to be. And I haven't seen that yet. And maybe that's not what it's gonna be, but that's kind of how the word was coming out of Phoenix, But he's still a great addition. He is still a great addition. So I want to shift, still in the NBA. San Antonio played Houston. I want to say it was the first game that was played of the season. They've had to play them again recently, and something that NBA does is like, if a team is going to be playing one team, they usually will stay and play each other twice within 2 days or so, like that. It's I don't like it as much, but I get it. It makes sense. But yeah, I don't want to see the same two teams play each other back to back. But in any case, San Antonio plays Houston, right? What I saw, and I hope y'all can follow me with this. Okay, Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, I full disclosure, I thought he was going to be a nice player coming out of Oregon, right? I liked him in Oregon. And I'm not saying he's not a nice player, but from what I saw, maybe I didn't see enough. He's not the same player that he is in Oregon. And I know a lot of times you have to kind of change your identity to be able to stay employed with the NBA. The type of player that you were in college might not be the type of player you're going to be in the NBA. So he's become this, he's a really good defender, but he's become this, kind of locked down, aggressive, enforcer type player who talks trash and tries to get in the other best players' heads. And he's done his job. I mean, he's carved out really good niche. I just like, if that's not you, if you have never been a tough guy, now you're a tough guy. You're gonna kind of skirt the line on whether it's being physical or dirty with some of the stuff you're doing. I'm not. And like I said, I thought I saw enough of him when he played in Oregon, and I really liked this game. So seeing all of this when he was at Memphis, I was kind of like, man, I don't remember seeing that. But again, hey, maybe I missed something. Maybe I didn't see him enough. But yeah, so he's kind of an enforcer guy. He's, dirty at times with some of his antics, and I can clearly just sit back and watch. Like, look, if you think that I'm lying, let's watch the film. Like, I hear reporters that say this and that, but I'm not a reporter, man. I'm not trying to get no shocking news and stuff. I'm watching film, and that film tells me that you have dirty plays. Now, are you a dirty player? Maybe if I said dirty player, maybe let me rephrase that. He's borderline dirty players. Okay, so what do you mean, Kay, when you say a dirty player versus a player who makes dirty plays? A person who makes dirty plays is probably doing something a little out of character, for need, right? That person's genuinely doesn't have a history of dirty plays, right? So if he does something, a hard foul or something that comes across as being a dirty player, well, he's not a dirty player. That was just a dirty play. After you accumulate so many dirty plays, you're probably considered a dirty player. Okay. Now, there are guys in the league that kind of fit that description. One that's shocking to people is Chris Paul. As lovable, and likable as he is, I don't know if you can be lovable and likable, but that's just my way I talk. As lovable as he is from pure watching a point guard and play uh, uh, thingy. God, I'm trying to think of what to say as I'm saying it. Let me just put it this way. Chris Paul has had a history of dirty plays, kicking people, punching people, shoving people, right? He's had a history of that. Is he a dirty player? He's like right there at the line, right? Now, does it mean I hate him? No, but, I got to call it when I see it. Draymond Green, right there on the line. Draymond might actually be over the line. He might be over the line, right? And, his antics have kind of gone with me. I'd still like his game, but I'm tired of all that other stuff, man. Just play, So let me get back to Dylan. Brooks does certain things since he's been in the NBA that has started to push him closer to that dirty player line, right? I hate to give a person a label and pull him in the box. So I'm going to say he's right there at the line, borderline dirty player, not a player who makes dirty plays, okay? Why am I saying all this? Okay, so he was roughhousing, Wembanyama, okay? They had a tie-up, right? And they both fighting for the ball. And, Wembanyama's just trying to hold the ball. Well, Dylan's trying to hold and twist and flail. And it made it look more than what it was. It was a lot of unnecessary movements and stuff. And then he gets up. Now, Chris Paul, who's on the Spurs, there's apparent. I didn't see the video. There was only pictures. Or there was apparently pictures where Chris Paul looked like he was doing something. And, he punched him in the back of the head, right? So I don't know if that was legitimate because there were screenshots in that video that I was able to see. But, there you have it, two guys who are known for dirty plays. They're playing against each other. But nothing escalated. Okay, so why are you all talking about this, Kay? What I'm disappointed in is what Victor Wembanyama did after this play. He didn't do anything. I mean, he continued to play. He played, but he did not say, all right, dog, give me the fucking ball. Right? Number one, he's so much taller than Dylan Brooks. He's like 7'5". Dylan Brooks might be 7'3", 7'4". I mean, I'm sorry, 7'3", 7'4". Dylan Brooks might be between 6'4", maybe 6'6" at most, but I think he's 6'4", 6'5"-ish. Or between 6'3" and 6'5", somewhere like that. But in any case, he's guarding him. Now, Wembanyama is like trying to post and getting low and everything like that. But back in the day, if something like that occurred, you best believe, like, all right, give me the ball. I'm posting or I got the ball on the wing. Y'all clear out. I ain't passing shit. I'm going at you. Right? And I'm going to go at you. I'm going to get a bucket. And now you going to know that you can't guard me, and now your team in the city that you're playing for has got to witness me dropping 50 or 60 on your head every time we play out because of what you did, right? Ain't no dog in victim. That to me, that's the perfect time. Look, you're not a rookie. You were a rookie last year. You played in the Olympics. Y'all got to the championship. Y'all lost to the USA in the not the championship in the Olympics, right? You lost to them in the Olympics. Your words apparently were, everybody better watch out, I'm coming, right? Like, this is only beginning. Well, I'm expecting to see somebody that says, yeah, I'm going to show you that you can't guard me. You 7'4", 7'5", man. You should be punishing him. Like, nah, give me the ball. I'm just going to back him down, and I'm going to turn over and dunk on him from wherever he is. I'm going to hang on the rim and get a tech, and I'm going to push him with my legs in the air to let him know this is what you're going to get every time I get the ball. I didn't see that from Victor. He continued to run the plays. He seemed to kind of shell up. He seemed to kind of, not be like aggressive. There was no dog in him to where it's like, oh, that's what we doing. Okay, all right, ball, right? I didn't see it, and it really, really disturbed and upset me, right? And now it's like I'm not gonna put him in a box, but until I see that, what Kobe would do, or what Shaq would do, or what MJ would do, or what Barkley would do, or some of these guys. Like, I don't think I've ever seen LeBron do that. Now he's done it in more of a diplomatic, subtle way, but I've never seen it to where he got hard fouled or somebody was just trash talking him and he was like, okay, give me the ball. And he's going to go at him every time and talk to him why he did it. I am never seeing that. I know he'll get you later on in some way capacity, but nah, I need to see you go really hard at somebody every single time. Okay. So I was disappointed in that. I really was. Hopefully we'll see it. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was just an off night. He wasn't feeling it or whatever, but we'll see. All right. I want to touch on something. 49ers played the Cowboys on Sunday night. Trayvon Diggs, who's a cornerback for the Cowboys, was coming out and he had this exchange with this reporter who's a beat reporter or something with the Cowboys named Mike. I want to say his last name's Leslie, right? Now, funny thing is, as I'm going through all of this and it's like, okay, well, who is this guy? And, why is he saying this and what is he really trying to say? And I'm looking at it and when I go to his Twitter page, I see my cousin because my cousin is an announcer and he's announcing and stuff and he announces and he works, with the Cowboys. And my cousin's name is on the page and I'm like, oh, all right, I'm gonna have to hit my cousin. Shout out to my cousin Heckman Harrison, who's doing great things in the Dallas area, announcing football games and basketball games and everything in between. He is doing a tremendous job. I'm so proud of what he's doing because he's found his niche. He's found the thing that he's passionate about, and it's working great for him. So, shout out to him. And yeah, I need to get him on. I'm bad about getting people on. I got so much going on, but I would love to get him on because we can talk about all kinds of stuff. But in any case, I saw that and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get in touch with him, see if I can find out what the dude is about, right? So the reporter makes a tweet and he's saying, what was he doing on this play? And the play is showing San Francisco, I think Kittle's going across from right to left, going across, catches a pass, and he's running up sideline. Now, Diggs is guarding someone else. I can't make out who he was guarding, who was in front of Kittle. And they're in a man-to-man defense. So he's going up. So by the time he sees Kittle has caught the ball and is running up, he's kind of a ways away and he makes his angle over and he's the one who pushes him out of bounds to keep Kittle from scoring a touchdown. Now, the guy was saying, well, they was like, what are you talking about, man? It wasn't his man. And he says, come on, man, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the second half of the play. So I'm looking at it again to try to see, okay, so is he saying that he's not giving effort, that he allows this guy? And then I'm watching and it's like, and to me, this is just me, I don't see, like, this guy was a little vague with how he was saying, come on, you know what I'm talking about. Go out and say it. And he later says it later, like he was basically questioning Trayvon's Diggs' effort. I didn't see that. I've seen it because I've had to point it out sometimes to my lovely wife, who's a Saints fan. When we're watching games sometimes, I'll point out like, hey, you know what? Right there is lack of effort. There is no effort to try to, get into the play or try to make, try to look like you're trying to either tackle a guy or whatever it is, a block. You can see those plays. So I know, athletes and somebody who's played, you usually don't like somebody questioning your effort. But most of the people who don't like questioning their effort, those are the ones that give effort all the time. So you can't imagine somebody questioning your effort. But there are people out there that you can see that some people give up on. I hate to say give up on the play, but they kind of, I'll say, concede. They kind of concede the play. They kind of concede, okay, all right, this play is over, or I'm not going to be able to catch him. And you can see certain guys pull up, or they don't finish the play until the whistle's going, which is kind of what you're taught in football. And in basketball, if somebody's in front going up for a dunk, you're not going to be able to catch up with that person. You still run. You still want to make it look like you're trying, you're giving effort. And sometimes you'll see people like, oh, yeah, now he's gone. I'm not going to get there. And you kind of stop. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Because if you see somebody catch the ball and they're 30 yards ahead of you, you're going to still kind of run, but you're not going to run in full sprint because I'm not going to catch him. You're still going to go because what if he trips, right? What if he happens to think he's going across the goal line and he throws the ball before he goes? So you continue to move, but your pace is not as such to where, hey, I can catch him, right? And even if that situation happens, I get that. But if you're 2 yards away from a play and they're running and you don't make steps towards them to try to run to get them, and you kind of stop, you can tell those are what you call effort plays. And I know that when people are watching film, that's discussed, right? So I didn't get what he was saying, because from where I was looking, he'd have to go frame by frame and say, right here, why didn't he do this? Because where I was looking at it, even as you slow it down, by the time Diggs saw that Kittle had the ball, he was up on top of him, starting to look back and realizing that, okay, he has the ball. Ball was thrown to him, and now he's not in position to turn and go at him there, because if he turns and goes at him there, he doesn't have the angle. And in football, you better have that angle. You rarely are going to see somebody go from sideline to sideline all the way across the field as somebody's at an angle, especially if they're at top speed. I haven't seen it. Now, I've seen running backs who get the ball 5-6 yards from behind the line, and a linebacker in the middle that runs across and can meet them, because that's half the field. The linebacker is there, and both of them haven't really started their speed. I've also seen linebackers miss because they took an improper angle and didn't realize the speed of that running back or that player. So, yes, it happens both ways. I couldn't see that he was going to be able to catch him there. It was going to be to me, it's going to be a bad angle. And then next thing you know, they're like, well, why did you take that bad angle, right? So it's like it was a no-win situation. So I wasn't a fan, because it did come across as trying to highlight something and make people, click and get, and it's clickbait and stuff. And I kind of felt like, man, if you're going to say something, then you should have said it right then. Look, come on, Diggs. To me, it doesn't look like you took the wrong angle. What I think you should have did, whether you're right or wrong, if you put that out there, hey, what I think you should have did is right here, it looks like you see him. Why didn't you turn around and try to tackle him there? Why did you go this way and then angle and tackle him later on, right? At least I respect it, because you seem to be coming from a position. That position is not accurate the way I saw it, but, I'm looking at it with no bias. I didn't have a dog in the fight. I was actually kind of bored watching the game. It kind of got interesting towards the end, but even if I don't like a team, I'm not going to be biased and be like, nah, that was he should have did. He was purposely doing that, because I'm not a fan of that person or that team. I'm gonna always be real and look at it with unbiased eyes. But they got into it, and then Diggs was on Micah Parsons' show, and he talked about it, and he just felt like, it was clickbait stuff, man. He's with the organization, so I wasn't understanding why he would make that judgment. He knows how hard we practice and stuff like that. So I felt that was kind of, I thought it was messed up. And now you're gonna have a strained relationship with that player. You're probably not going to have access to that player. Other players are going to side with that player because anytime you question somebody's effort, even if somebody might know that he did it, players are going to circle those wagons, right? So now your access is limited. Now the job that you're trying to do is really hard, right? Now you got to start doing those anonymous sources stuff. And that kind of stuff is just not, cool. So I'm not saying you can't call them out. But if you're gonna call him out, to me, you got to have something a little bit better than that, and you can't be as vague as what he was. So I was, I'm rolling with Diggs on that, and maybe I call my cousin and I can talk with him and he can tell me exactly. I can say, look, man, I just need to know exactly what you're talking about. Because it was vague, right? If you're gonna call him out, call him out. Don't just kind of generalize and make it seem and leave it to the imagination of the people, because the comments on that were crazy, and some people, that's what they do to bring people. I'm not saying that's what he did, but it checked a lot of those boxes. All right, last thing I wanted to bring up was, oftentimes we talk about great players, right? And we talk about them when they were great. We don't always talk about who they are right now. I love me some Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers, I've always said, is the greatest thrower of the football. And I think he's one of the top quarterbacks of all time, even though he doesn't have as many hardware as some of the other ones, right? But I've seen him make throws, and I've said it on the show. I've seen him make throws, and I'm like, damn, man, how did he make that throw? But now when I look at him with the Jets, the bravado, the confidence is still there outwardly because he says it. But I don't think he's as confident. I mean, he had the Achilles injury. He's not moving the way he needs to. There are more flashes of him throwing the ball, but he doesn't look like the same guy, right? So I say that to say, we talk about how great he is, but now when we look at him, we realize that it's not who he is now, it's who he used to be. And I think we do that in sports. We'll look at, certain basketball players, and we'll talk about, oh my God, okay, so I'll use Klay Thompson. Anytime you see Klay Thompson, you're like, man, you think about the 60-something point game where he only took a few dribbles, right? The 13 or 14 threes that he hit in a game. The game against OKC when they were 73-9, the year that they were down and he went off. I think he had a 35-point quarter once, right? So you see that, and anytime you see him on the court, you want him to be that. That's who he is. But that's not who he is now. That's who he was. Now, he is still a hell of a player, and he has come out with the Mavericks, and it's kind of weird seeing him there, but he's come out and he's been productive. I know last year he wasn't as consistent. He wasn't able to defend. When he had his ACL and Achilles surgery, I thought, well, he's not an explosive jumper, right? So those surgeries, like people who have Achilles tears, it usually hurts their explosiveness. So like when Dominique Wilkins had it, just like, okay, he's not going to be who he was because he was an explosive jumper. But like Kevin Durant gets it, and it's like, okay, he's still going to probably be who he is because he wasn't an explosive jumper. That his jumping wasn't the main attraction of his game, right? Power dunking and stuff. So when Klay Thompson had it, it's like, okay, he's still going to be pretty good once he gets that back strong and he gets healthy and stuff. But when he came back before he was a two-way player and he was able to guard, the top players and pressure him. He came back, and obviously when you see him play, when he first started getting back, it's like, okay, it's Russ. He's going to be able to get there. You'll be able to, at some point, he'll get his wind back, his timing and everything. He seemed a step slower those past 2 years with Golden State after his post surgery. Right, he didn't seem as quick and able to guard guys, and guys were able to get to their spots a lot easier while he was guarding them. And that's when it's like, okay, now is he still an elite defender? Absolutely. But back then, you could put him on Kyrie. He could guard Kyrie. You could put him on quicker guards, and he could guard him because he was 6'7". Now, I don't think, or I'll say it like this: since his injury, I haven't seen him with that same ability to guard the quicker best players. I've seen him guarding like the secondary players who maybe not as quick with their ball handling. They get to their spots. They're a little bit taller. They're a little slower in the sense that they're not quick like a fast guard. And it looks like he's able to stay with those guys a lot better, right? So I've seen him where he's he could pick up defensively, just not at the elite level he did with smaller guards like Kyrie before, right? But that's kind of what I'm talking about. You see him and you think initially about his heydays pre-injury, and he's not that person. He's still an excellent but he's not that player. And I think that's what we get caught up in. We see Aaron Rodgers, just to go back to him. We're thinking, MVP Rodgers, hey, Mouse, come on, man. He gonna have 600 yards and he's gonna run for a touchdown and he's gonna give you the discount double check. I got the belt thing, which I love, right? But he's not that guy anymore. And we see it throughout sports. And I've come to realization is, they're not the same person. They're still good, but they're not the person that we're thinking about. If you're thinking about, let me see, give me an idea. Let's say Kevin Durant. We're thinking about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is still scoring at a high clip, right? But some of the stuff he was doing I haven't seen. No, I take that back. Kevin Durant is still playing where he needs to play. And let me scratch that, because I'm thinking about watching him last night, and he's still moving, just as well. But I can't think of. I'm not gonna try to sit around here and think about it right now, because there are a few other players that I could say, hey, you know what? Yeah, they're not what they were. They're still really good, but they're not what they were back in their heyday. And that's fine. That's okay for us to be like that. But in general, we do talk about great players when they were great without understanding that, well, they're not who they were 5 or 10 years ago. So like if a guy gets traded to your team and you're like, oh man, we got this guy. And it's like, yeah, but you're thinking about the guy that was where he was 5 or 6 years ago. They're not that same player. They've gotten older and stuff. So, but it doesn't mean that person's not productive. It's just, they're not the guy who threw for, 28 touchdowns in one game, right? That's not happening anymore. Okay, so let me get to my basketball ideology. All right, now, often, when I'm training, when I have different clients, and some clients are, they're like, hey, well, we're looking for a team. Do you know of any? And I try my best to try to send them to places that have teams, organizations that have teams. And, sometimes I have to be careful, because sometimes some people have bad experiences, and I have to kind of make sure I'm not sending people to a bad experience, because I don't want that. Right. And I happen to ask the parent, like, what kind of coaching has your child had? And they say, oh, this the coach they had, it was really good and stuff. So I tried to explain to them that, you want to have different styles of coaching with your kid on the youth level. And they kind of was like, okay, but they really weren't understanding what I was saying. So I had to, go delving further and say, look, what I mean is, it's good for your child to have different styles of coaches. Some coaches are going to be really nice, very uplifting. They're very positive with everything, right? Then you're going to have some coaches that are positive, but they're also negative, and they're going to get on you about things. They might yell a little bit more. And then you're going to have coaches that aren't positive. They just are negative with their coaching style. They're always on you. Anytime you make a mistake, they're going to take you out of the game, and this and that. And what I explained to him was, your child actually needs this, because if your child has never been in that environment, and then they go to play high school basketball, for instance, and they're dealing with a coach, as a freshman who's like yelling and screaming all the time and is aggressive and really in your face, and they're pulling you out when you make mistakes, it can be a shock. It can be a shock because you've never dealt with that. And some kids don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to just, okay, they go through it, they get what they need, they understand it, and they keep moving on. A lot of kids shut down performance wise, and and it sucks. And I've had a couple of kids that went through that exact same thing. I had a kid who went through that early, where they had never been with that type of coach, and then they were with that type of coach. And I'm not saying that coach was wrong. There are some situations where it's like, yeah, no, you shouldn't be coaching, man. You shouldn't be coaching. There are some coaches here in the city that if I had a child, well, I'm not if I had a child, I have children, but if my children had to play for that coach, and they did and acted the way multiple people say these coaches acted, no, that's an ass whooping. That's like a legitimate ass whooping. That's the way I take it, and that's the way I was raised. Like, no, I'm not one of those, you can't treat my child, but no, you're not gonna what they were saying these coaches were doing. Nah, dog, you're not doing that. That's not happening with my child. I want my child to have tough love. I want them to understand. But some of that stuff, nah, bro. Hell no. So let me get off of that, because I'm getting mad. I don't want to be showing up at nobody's game, acting. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. That's not my place. But in any case, I've had kids that played for coaches like that played one season, and they were scarred for the rest of their career. They couldn't get out of that because they were anticipating that all coaches were going to be like that. And I've seen it time and again. I've had kids who had tough coaches, but they were kind of brutal tough. And they had opportunities to play college, and they didn't want to go because they were afraid that coach was going to be that, and they were tired of that type of stuff, right? So do I want coaches to be tough? Absolutely. You got to be tough because you want to show kids, look, this is how the world's going to be, and I need to make you this and that. It's good to have different examples. How you end up being as an adult is a lot of times shaped by the stuff that you experienced as a child, right? Growing up. You might have a hard-nosed coach, but you know that coach, was hard on you, but they did it out of love. And you can sense it. You can sense if somebody's being hard on you, but they care about you. You can tell that. To me, now, I can't speak to anybody else, but I can tell if somebody is being hard, but it's out of love, right? But just some of the stuff that some of these coaches do is not called for. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. You can be tough. You can be on their butt. When you can show them when you make a mistake and stuff like that. But just yelling and screaming and acting like you're about to assault a kid for missing a shot or making a pass wrong, and it's your personality that you're like that, overly aggressive, and you're getting in front of a kid like you're wanting to push him and snatch him. Like, look, only person that got in my face like that, I don't even think they ever got in my face like that, would have been my parents. If I messed up, you might hey, what I tell you, get your butt over here and grab you by the arm and stuff, right? That's my parents. Like, I can't see, I'm trying to think as I'm saying it. I don't think I've ever had a coach that was doing this. Now, I will tell you, you know, my situation with my school as a junior when the coaches were weird. I think I told the story. Found out that the varsity coach didn't like me because I was small. Okay, all right, I'm good with that, right? But don't okay if that's the case, then just sit me down. Should have sat me down as a freshman and say, look, you're a really good player. You're really good, but you're not going to be able to help me because of your height. Okay, I might disagree with that, but you being honest. Well, I was kind of strung along and stuff in my junior year, and so the JV coach, we're coming from a game, and the JV coach kind of gets up and he's walking towards me because I'm like, man, what's going on? Why is it that I'm not playing? I'm best, one of the top players on the team, and I listen to that, and like I'm not playing, and I'm trying to understand what did I do? I'm asking, and he gets up and his voice is kind of loud. Hey, you're under investigation, son. You're not. And he's walking toward me. And I'm like, investigation? What the hell are you talking about? So I'm getting up, right, you walking towards me like you ready to fight. Now I'm not balling my fist up, but his energy coming towards me is an energy of somebody that I'm still viewing as a coach. I'm viewing this energy as somebody that's like I'm on the street. Now I'm gonna tell you why that energy was such. It's because my childhood friend, still one of my best friends that I still communicate with. He's a guy that whooped a lot of ass. People didn't mess with him, right? He stands up behind him. So he knows, and I think he's checking the temperature, and he was very protective of me and stuff. And then he's kind of checking temperature, man, why you walking? And I'm seeing okay, we about to whoop this man's butt on his boat, on this bus. We about to whoop his ass. But I was able to come to my senses, and I'm kind of looking at my best friend, Melvin. I'm looking at my friend Melvin, and I'm kind of like shaking my head like, nah, don't do nothing. And then I just told the dude, okay, all right. Well, needless to say, I ended up, transferring. We played them the next year, and I went off, right? I went off. It was one of them games where I went off, was scoring, we blowing them out. Coach takes me out, standing ovation and all of that. At the end of the game, this coach wants to come by and shake my hand and tell me he's sorry, right? Now, as a child, I didn't want to hear it. And at that time, my old man was somebody who was feared, was about to come over that stand and whoop that man's ass for just reasons. Now, looking back on it, I realized that he was following orders, right? But at the time, as a kid, you're feeling threatened because of the way somebody came at you, right? So if a coach is doing that, that's not something you want to be trying to get acclimated to as a child in any capacity, be it youth, middle school, high school, college, or professional. That experience I just shared with you is not what you want to be going through. Okay. But a coach being tough on you is a coach can be tough on you, and I get that. So I feel like kids should have different experiences. So when they do go to their coach in freshman or middle school or with an AAU, and it's a travel team and that coach is hard, they're okay with it. But if you've never went through it, if you never went through it, you're going to not take it well. And if you don't have those type of parents who get on you aggressively and stuff, they're kind of hard on you, or they, how parents are sometimes. You don't have that, then you've never understood that. Now my upbringing was, very aggressive neighborhood and all of that stuff. So I witnessed and was part in a lot of that. Okay, statute of limitations is over. I wasn't involved in no burglaries or carjackings or anything. So statute of limitations is over. I wasn't involved in that, but you get the gist. I wasn't it wasn't some Bel Air neighborhood or anything. So we grew up aggressive, and I think it still comes across to the way I am today. But so I was okay with a coach if they got on me. I could look them in the eye and understand what they're doing, but I understand when you're getting on me because you care versus you just talking shit. So I hope that helps. And I want, you out there listening to look into it. And I always tell my parents, before you put your child on the team, go to a practice. See how their coach practices. Talk to those parents. But before you make a decision, you always should go watch a game because that's going to be who that person is. If that coach is saying, "Oh no, we play everybody," everybody plays. You go to that game and he only plays like 6 players and he got like 15 kids on the team, and he's like, "Oh well, it was a close game." Yeah, but you told me y'all play everybody. You didn't say if it's a close game, you're playing more competitive as opposed to developmental, and it depends. I could go through that again at some point. All right, next point I want to talk about is kids not making the basketball team. It's a really hard thing to go through. And I had some kids that, they were trying out. Now, one in full disclosure, I told the kid, well, when the kid came to us, what his goals were and stuff, and we discussed it. And I told him, I said, look, it is going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, for you to make the team as a sophomore when you didn't try out as a freshman. Unless you weren't there as a freshman, you can kind of let the coach know, like, hey, well, I was over here and stuff, or I transferred, or whatever the reason being. But some coaches are like, well, nah, if you don't try it as a freshman, you're probably not going to be a part of the program. They all usually have, who they want, who they've seen, who they have confidence in. So I tell kids, if you're going to try it as a sophomore, and let's say there are 12 kids on that team, let's say it's 12, you have to be better than 1 through 7, not 8 through 12, because they don't need nobody to replace 8 through 12. Those kids don't play as much. You need to be better than us first 7 to be able to show. You have to go in and just kill to show them. You can't be as good as them. You need to be better than them to be able to get a spot on that team. And I told this kid, these are what you need to do. Obviously, the training part, we're going to take care of that. Now, the kid got better, but there were things that were constantly addressed that the kid never took the time to try to improve on, right? And the other part was the kid needed to get on a team, and the kid never got on the team. Now, this kid's circumstances were different, so I understand why the kid didn't get on the team or why he couldn't get on the team. The kid played a lot of open gym. But what I explained to him is open gym will help. But open gym is not a disciplined game with officials and, everybody knows what it's supposed to do. Sometimes you playing open gym, you just playing against guys who just in there just using it as a workout, just trying to get a little run in, get some air in their lungs. They don't play. They don't get back on defense. They don't help side. They're not coming to set screens and movement. But that's what you get in an actual basketball game. So I think a combination of those things hurt the kids' chances. The kid said they did better. They felt like they missed them. They missed all of their shots. They had some footwork issues because the kid, I think, was struggling. I think somebody stepped on his foot or something. So the kid was disappointed. And I was disappointed in him because I did see the growth and the work that the kid put in. I just kept trying to harp that you need to do more. You need to be better, man, because I'm telling you what's coming at the school that you're trying out. I know how they do things. And, the kid didn't make it. And ultimately, I feel bad. I feel bad. Now, if I felt like we didn't try to get that kid better, I would feel even worse. But no, I do my due diligence. We work on everything. I work on things that kid needs to see. So when I was told by the kid that, they didn't struggle on these things, it was just, a kind of conditioning thing and some of the stuff that was going on that the kid didn't really was struggling with were the same areas that I mentioned. So Whether he's going to continue or try or just keep playing with city leagues and stuff, I don't know. But it does hurt me because I get to it's not like a factory where you come in, and I don't, I take your money and train you and stuff, and then you're gone. I like to keep up with kids, and I've had kids that I've trained. At some point they realize that was the end of the road, and I tell them sometimes you might not be as good, you might not be good enough to take somebody's spot. But if I see them or if they keep in touch, if they ask me, hey, I'm trying to do this, you think you can help me out with it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I could spend a couple of days talking about all the different kids, since we've been started that reach out to me and, they need a letter or they need, if I can call someone on their behalf or, can they use me as a reference? I've had people say, I put you down for my ID check. They're gonna call you. I've had that happen lots of times, and I'm just proud and honored that they think enough of me to ask me to do it. Right now, if it's a kid that they still owe some money, that's what I tell the investigator. Oh, they're a good kid, but I hope you don't never need that money that they owe you because they don't pay you. No, I'm just playing. That ain't never happened. That would be messed up though, wouldn't it? Be like, yeah, they're a really good kid, but the mama didn't pay me the last couple of times for training, and they got a balance. You think you can get that money back from me? Since you investigate? That'd be crazy. But no, I felt bad, and it's not much that you can do. Because here's the thing, I have kids that are in the same situation, but they kind of heed more of what we're saying and they make those corrections and they make the team. It's really hard. I will say this, it's really hard if you tried out as a freshman and didn't make it. It's really hard to get in with a lot of these schools as a sophomore. You have to show great improvement and growth, and you have to follow a system. And that system is something that I've seen over and over, that if you do these things, it creates more successful opportunities for you, right? So, we'll see what goes on. I feel bad. And every year there's going to be a kid or two that doesn't make it for various reasons. There are going to be kids that make it, and it's just kind of like, how good you are and stuff like that. Okay, so one thing real quick is what I have known, I've understood, is that young kids, they don't understand defense. And what I mean by that is you'll have kids that they'll get beat the same way over and over again until they total change, right? So let me give you an example. You might have a kid that's kind of new to basketball or that's playing basketball some, doesn't really know how to play defense, and they're guarding somebody who can play. And that person, they will get up on them, and that person will drive past them and make a layup. Going to the right, then to the left, then to the right, then to the left. And the person who's guarding them never makes the change to where they're getting past me, let me back off a little so I can, give myself a chance and maybe force them to shoot. Do something else. And that's something I notice with a lot of younger kids, that when I do my group trainings, I have to counsel them and talk to them like, why are you doing that? They're beating you 3 times in a row off of that. And it's like, okay, well, they beating them 3 times. Why didn't you say anything? Because I like to see and give somebody 3 opportunities to see if they're going to make the change. By that 3rd time, they're probably not understanding that they need to make that change, right? They're going to continue to do it. So I have to, try to show them and stuff. Now, I do know that as kids get older, their understanding is better. And that's when offensive players really start to show what they can do. So if it's an offensive standpoint, it's like, well, hey, this kid, has a lot of potential, but like, why is this kid going to execute all these different moves against an inferior defender? Well, when that defender becomes a lot more advanced in their technique and understand how to take away angles and force you this way, you can often have that offensive kid be able to show you how good he or she is because the defense is better, right? So it's a two types of things that I've noticed. One is when they're younger and they're more inexperienced, They don't understand how to play defense the way they should anyway, right? As they get older, their understanding is better. They know how to take things away, but also the offensive players get better because they're challenged a little bit more and some things are taken away. So they have to learn counter moves and angles and how to get to their spots. So those are two unique things that I've noticed with kids, mainly on the defensive side. I threw the offensive side in because, yes, there is a correlation. But defensively, when kids are younger, you hear people, oh, well, he plays great defense. Yeah, but they don't really know what they're doing. They're just standing in front of their person. But if that person makes a jab cut or a fake and they go by them all the time, that kid's going to get beat every time. So you have to try to explain to them about how not to get beat. All right, last thing I want to talk about is we've added a series of stuff. I call it the biz, the basketball interactive zone. That's what we've shifted to. So we've added 4 components to what we do. Last week I spoke about the NOAA and why we added the NOAA. This week we're gonna talk about the mastermind training real quick. Mastermind training. Why did you add mastermind training? Well, what is mastermind training? Mastermind training is a virtual app that allows you to work on your brain, your cognitive training. So it's everything that you need as an athlete to get better. All right. Well, when you say get better, what are you talking about? I'm talking about all of the resources you need when you're playing sports from a mental state, meaning cognitive. So I'll give you an example. There's one game, and I've actually done it before because I kind of want to see where I'm at, and I got actually trained today while I'm tripping. There's it's what I love about it is more game like. So it's like you're playing a game. And with the virtual reality headset, I know I've been saying goggles and glasses, but I've learned that it's a headset. So you'll hear me say headset more. With the virtual reality headset, the mastermind is just quite amazing. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. And the other people who have played games who actually have those kind of stuff, they put it on and they say the same thing. It's just amazing. So there's one game where it's really testing your peripheral vision. And the way it tests it is there's these orbs in front of you and they shoot the balls towards you. And as they shoot the balls, you have to, punch them. As you punch them, obviously you're scoring when you bust them or break them up or whatever when they come towards you. Okay. Now, imagine if you're looking straight and these orbs are shooting balls at you, soccer balls or basketballs at you. And as you're shooting, some of these orbs start to move to the sides. One goes to the right side, one goes to the left side. And as they're shooting them, you have to be able to see them through your peripheral vision while maintaining focus ahead of you. So now you got balls coming. It's 6 orbs, so you got balls coming from all directions at all different speeds, right? Which is cool. So now you're working on your peripheral vision. Then your coordination comes in because these orbs are shooting blue soccer balls. Caught myself on that one. They're shooting blue soccer balls. And then all of a sudden they start to shoot yellow soccer balls, right? Well, the blue soccer balls, you're supposed to punch with your right hand. The yellow soccer balls, you're supposed to punch with your left hand. So imagine if the orb on the right shoots a yellow soccer ball. So you got to swing with your left hand and punch it. And then the one on the right throws a blue one, and you have to swing with your right. And then it throws another yellow one. Then you got to swing with your left. So the combination of stuff is really training you. Right. It's amazing. It is amazing. And this is something that kids need, on all levels. It's not just younger kids, college, professional. They are using this type of technology. And it's something that I felt strongly about adding to what we do. The greatest thing about this mastermind training is you don't have to do it at our facility on a weekly basis when you come. You have access to this every day. So you can be at home doing it, using it. If you have a VR headset, or if you have a phone or a tablet, you can do it. Now the experience on the headset is amazing, but you can still get the things done that you need to on a tablet, because I've done the demo and stuff on the tablet as well. So I think it's very crucial to add these types of experiences and sports stuff based things to try to help the kids grow as players and become very cognitively excellent, if I may sound that don't sound like me, to be able to perform at a higher level with the sports. So now you have better awareness to what's going on, your surroundings around you, right? You can understand when that ball comes, to be able to catch it and whip it where you need to whip it and to whoever you're passing it to. So I really love it. And I think this is going to be a great addition to not only the players in the city of El Paso. It also has other applications. It has educational applications. They're using it. Neuroscientists are using it for elderly, to help them with their cognitive training. So it is absolutely phenomenal tool. And if you are interested, reach out to me, so I can send you the information. We'll provide the link and stuff on here, and you can try the demo to see how it is. But I really love it, and I'm glad it's something that I found to add. Plus, here's the other thing. I'm trying to meet kids on their playing field. Literally, kids play a lot of video games. Whether it's Fortnite, Call of Duty, whether it's these games on their phone. So I want to be able to relate to them and have them learning something when they don't really know that they're actually learning something, right? They're learning something and they don't. That's the greatest thing, is to learn something without knowing that you're being taught something. You're doing it because you're thinking it's fun, right? So that's something that we're adding, and we'll move on next week to something else. So if you have questions about that, reach out to me, so I can have you. I think if you're going to try it, it's sad, because it's like, well, if you try it with the VR headset, but you don't have a VR headset, it kind of spoils it, but it's like with this, once you get this, you can actually come and use the VR headsets with us every day if you can. But, obviously we want to be able to allow you to learn on the go. So that's going to be all for today. I hope, you found this information good. Or if anything, always reach out to me. Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Might have to have my man Melvin on to talk about that night and see what he remembers. But we've talked about it before. Like, we laughed about it. I was like, man, you was about to hit him. He was like, yeah, nah, I thought he was walking up on you. It was about to be on. I was like, oh my God, could you imagine we'd have been on the news, arrested for assaulting a coach or anything? We'd have sounded bad without everybody knowing the whole story and everything. So that was crazy. And the coach, he was an old coach, but he had a jerry curl. Nothing wrong with a jerry curl. It's one of those distinctive things. I remember, like, man, you're older, like in his maybe 50s, 60s. Why do you got a jerry curl? Like, let it go. It's just one of the things. So look, like, subscribe, follow, or comment. All across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and now my YouTube channel. And I'm going to end it like I always end. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I'm out.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.